maybe what you've done, or that they already knew, oh, you came here several times, we're going to just deport you back. So no, that's my right. So they actually tell the Border Patrol agent what they want to have and what their rights are, because the UN gave them and other NGOs working with the UN those papers up front.
So anyway, just to catch up, Vicky Red Sparrow here with Ron Eller, running for Congress out of Mississippi. The key here, I think, to pay attention to are the NGOs, because the NGOs can cover as a refugee service, giving water, blankets, Red Cross, Catholic charities. But on the flip side, for instance, this No More Deaths camp, which I don't know if it's technically an NGO, I think it is, was started in, I believe, 2004 to help the migrants and give them water by a Presbyterian organization out of Tucson. So that's the important thing, is that there are some nefarious things happening on these, quote, refugee service type areas. And it seems that the real dangers to the country are coming in through the private ranching grounds and not necessarily the port of entries, right? Through the private landowner, like this Jim Chilton Ranch, private cattle rancher, and then also the reservations, the Indian reservations.
Yeah, they don't. Most of the law enforcement doesn't have restriction there, so they can't even go in. And there are rumors, what I heard, that cartels already have so-called good connections with some tribe people and finance them, because you have to think all about the logistics. Like, it's a huge logistical power act to transport people over a country, and your country is still very secure. So with all the border and the wall, it's not that easy to come in, but it's easy because they know how to go around the wall, the laws, or pay, or silence people, or blackmail people. So there's a whole system and industry behind all that. So it's not only the crime and the dramatic situation for the human aid, it's more like the industry. That's why it will never stop, because a lot of people, even in America, they benefit from that.
Yeah.
And you have to stop getting those people the money, because this is why it works. Because, like you said, NGOs get money from the government to help people. So actually, the American taxpayer is paying human trafficking and the border crisis with their tax money, and they don't even know it. And they think when they donate to NGOs, oh, they are doing actually a good thing, and then they get back money from the taxes, and this goes directly back to the cartels. And then they bring children over, they bring guns over, they bring fentanyl over. They're going to kill your whole American civilization with fentanyl and with all those mass immigration. And you see, when you really want to know what happens if Trump doesn't win this election this year, look to Europe. And a lot of people in America don't understand that Europe is very important to watch, because Europe, it's the European Union, it's the blue model, the blueprint of the global government.
Right.
Because no nations anymore, everything goes under one law, the European law, and the European Union was actually founded to make economy and...
What year was that, right, Vicky? But that's a...
That was in the the European Union. So we had... so the thing is, the European Union, I'm very bad at numbers with that.
Dates.
That's even worse, honey. No, the thing is, so the European Union started it as a European contract between countries to make the trade market and the economy easier. And then we got the euro, so this common currency.
Yeah.
So it was actually a Trojan horse, because they sold it to the European people or to the countries. I think it was something in the 70s, 80s or something. Okay, Treaty Paris.
So we're looking at it in 1948, it looks like.
Well,
Treaty of Brussels.
Yeah.
And there's Treaty of Rome, Treaty of Brussels, and then
but
the
the
Single European Act,
that's what
87.
I said. It's 87. So you have to think we still had the Cold War, and then we had Germany parted. So the European Union started, like I said, like actually an idea for easy economy, make it easier to have to be a good rival against America, because the dollar was very, very high and very, very strong. So the European wanted to be a good companion in the market. So they said, okay, that's actually a good idea. And out of this idea, like every agenda starts in a good idea.
Sure.
And then they implemented more and more power into this European idea. Now we have a European government in Brussels, and they decide about, like, that's why we have those farmers' protests right now.
Right.
The what protests?
Farmers.
The farmer. Okay.
So the whole farmers are standing up because of the European laws. And the thing is, the problem with the European Union, the countries every single country lose their power as a single nation. So they want to create this European idea, this European continent, so that we are all one, but we're not one. Like, we are totally different. Even it's such a small land area, but we have so many different cultures. Like, we have Italian, we have German, we have French, we have
Swiss.
No, Swiss is not European. We have Dutch, yeah.
Switzerland's not part of the union.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
No, it's neutral.
It's neutral. Yeah, of course. Right. The banking. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then we have Austria and Norway and all those countries, but with all this umbrella.
And the English are not part.
No, they had the Brexit. They were smart.
broke off.
They broke off.
They broke off. And that was actually a funny thing, because nobody actually thought they would vote for that. So there was the Brexit party was so shocked when they finally had the Brexit. So, oh, now we have to actually, as a politician.
We got to do it.
No, we have to actually do it. So that's kind of the idea where the world is heading. That we have one elite group.
Yeah, taking the global economy and putting them into segments, right? Into groupings.
Yeah, and losing the national identity. That's the biggest issue. Losing the national identity, because when you lose
borders, language, culture. Michael Savage
yeah.
has been speaking about that for a couple decades. The loss of, if you don't have border, language, and cultures, then you don't have a country. Yep. That's exactly what's happening in the United States.
That's what we have.
It's destroying all those
things. So in Germany or Europe, we have this mess. Sorry for interrupting.
Working towards that new world order.
The new world, yeah.
Order.
The Bushes talked about it. Clinton talked about it. Obama.
Well, and it's been on the back of the dollar bill since FDR, 1932, I think, if I've got that year right, where it says Novus Ordo Seclorum,
yeah.
which in Italian is New World Order. So the question then becomes, who's controlling this? But we don't have to necessarily get into that, because I wanted to get an update from Vicky. But Vicky, you had a question for Ron.
Yes. So you have, I saw you have
Yes.
this book, and even I'm not good in numbers. I like history, and I would love to know, and for me to understand the American Civil War and then the War of Independence. That's actually the most important
Yes.
part. And I heard it's 1776, 4th of July, Independence Day. But this is the 19th April of 1775. So what happened there?
That is really the foundation of America. It was on April 19, 1775, the Battle of Lexington and Concord. This book is A Tale of Two Cannons. It's sort of a novel that was written by a friend of mine, Jeff Wallace. And it talks about how America was founded. America was founded because of basically the king, after the Boston Tea Party, wanted to collect taxes. And they knew that
George III.
Correct. And he sent a message to the governor. And the governor goes to Lieutenant Colonel Smith and says, Smith, go up there and seize the cannons that these people have and their other weapons and collect the taxes. And he marches up to Lexington and Concord, and he's met by about 70 militiamen, one of which was actually a black man named Prince Estabrook. People don't know that.
A free man?
No, he was actually a slave. He was injured during the battle. He went on to fight in other battles, such as Bunker Hill, things like that. He died a free man, though. And, it's all part of the American experience that people don't know. And this would be really about taxation without representation. This is about the foundation of the Second Amendment. Because, we're going to take your firearms, we're going to take your cannons, and you're not going to be allowed to have these things. And, people talk about, well, in today's world, that you can't have a military-grade weapon. Well, then they need to go back and read the Militia Act of 1792. It was the responsibility of every male between the ages of about 18 to 45 to own a military-grade weapon, so many rounds, so much powder and things, so that if there was a national crisis, we can call you up and put you in the state militia.
The state militia.
Correct.
Which is very important, that the state militia, is the emphasis on the state militia, because every state is essentially its own sovereign entity that checks the federal overreach. But the states aren't using that power today, i.e. Texas.
Texas is trying to.
They're trying. Yeah, okay.
And there's about 13 other governors who have signed on with Texas, such as my own governor, Tate Reeves.
Who is it, March?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. What's the governor's name there in Tennessee?
Bill Lee, I think.
Arkansas, Huckabee, DeSantis in Florida. There's a list of them. I don't know them off the top of my head, but we'll say these are patriot states that are reaching out and backing Texas to play.
And what's interesting here, I'm a Californian by birth.
Mm-hmm.
And see, California on their flag has a single star, which means Lone Star, which resembles that independence. And it, of course, broke away from the corrupt Mexican Union as part of the Treaty of Guadalupe. But they've been able to flip the culture in California, where the initial entity or the initial identity of California was very similar to that of Texas. Mm-hmm. And a lot of pride in the fact that they're their own republic.
Yeah.
They're republic, and it says it on the flag, Republic of California. It says it on the flag to this day. They're very revolt. But they've been brilliant in manipulating our news and our education system over the years to brainwash people to conform to their culture, which is exactly what you're talking about, Vicky. It's happening they've been trying to do it to the Europeans.
Oh, they succeeded.
And they've succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly
Ron,
to say.
Yes, sir.
So this book, what is this? This happens, a year after the Boston Tea Party? Because you're talking about taxation without representation.
Basically. And like I say, April 19, 1775 is really the foundation of America. That is when we became Americans. Those 70 patriots, which included a black man, Prince Estabrook, stood the ground against tyranny. And we need to stand that ground still today, because we're just one generation away from losing this country at any time.
And we might be just a year away.
And it's true. Because if we don't do this now, we're in trouble.
Yeah, and when you lose the election, you will face the same problems what we have in Europe with mass immigration. So we don't have illegal immigration because we don't have borders. So if you delete borders, there is no illegal immigration. There is no deporting, because you can't deport someone if he didn't came illegally. There is no legal basement to pursue there. And this is the main goal, what they do. And when you see into the statistics of the crimes, they are rising. It's crazy. So in Bavaria, it's a very Catholic state where I'm from Germany. And it was always the very conservative and very safe. And you could go out as a young girl in a group of girls and stuff. Nothing really happened. And now, if my daughter would still go to school in Bavaria, the principals will tell me, or they tell right now the parents in Regensburg, that's a city in Bavaria, don't let your daughter go out alone even when they are 3 or 4, because the increase of rape through people with immigration background is it increased to 250%.
Wow.
But nobody's talking about it, because at the point when you say, oh, it was a person with immigration background, you go into the far right labeling, and that's a killing phrase in Germany. Nobody wants to be called like that, so we don't say anything. So we just smile and say, yeah, they have all PTSD, they are all damaged from war, and I'm as a veteran say, okay, I have PTSD too.
And they're associating this riot to what, Nazism?
No, not Nazism. But the problem is, in Germany we still have this cult of blame.
Blame.
Yeah, and shame.
Shame.
So when we go into school and have history, we learn over 7 years long, every year, how bad Germany is.
Sucks.
So
How bad Germany is.
yeah, because I don't want
It's
to.
happening in our school systems.
Yeah.
How bad
It is
America is. That's
happening
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
The founding fathers. It's
not
right.
even
Okay.
the founding fathers, or with tearing down your statues from the Civil War. Okay, I understand that generally is standing for, or is a symbol for the Confederate states.
But you can't run from the past and the
Yeah.
history. You must learn it and know it. Otherwise, you're doomed to repeat history.
Yeah, and now we are actually repeating the history. So there was a survivor from Auschwitz, and this person said, fascism will come back, but it won't call him fascism, it will call itself anti-fascism.
Ah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, Bavaria is where Adam Weishaupt was a professor at the University of Ingolstadt. You know who this person is?
No.
Nine.
Adam Weishaupt is the founder of what is considered the Bavarian. Now, there was something that preceded that called the Spanish Alumbrados. The Spanish Alumbrados is what, you familiar with this?
I think so. What country is this?
The Spanish Alumbrado, this is in Spain.
What year?
The year is 1540, and the name is Ignatius de Loyola.
No, that's
And he was mentored by the Spanish Alumbrados, and so through the years, then developed the Bavarian Alumbrados. But this is known in English as the Illuminati.
Oh, no, Illuminados.
I know the
Illuminados.
Illuminati.
Illuminados. And this is
Of Bavaria.
that's correct.
The Bavarian Illuminati, okay.
Bavarian, yeah, that's.
I didn't know that.
The reason I'll just insert and I'll make I'll bring it around in a circle for you, Ron. So
Yep.
the U.S. Organization or section, companion section, satellite or chapter rather. The chapter is the chapter is in Yale University. From the Ingolstadt, from my understanding, the Ingolstadt chapter is at Yale University. It's like a fraternity, right? Okay, and that is known as the Skull and Bones Society.
I heard about them.
Okay, and now I'm bringing this full circle here for you. And we're going to come right back to this book, okay? I'll bring it right back to this book for you.
Very good.
You have Elihu Yale, who is the founder of Yale University. Elihu Yale was one of the largest shareholders. He was a president of the British East Indies Company. The British East Indies Company brought the boats carrying the tea into the British harbor. They called this the Tea Revolt. The British East Indies Company is also what financed Washington during the American Revolution. Then people will say, well, Ian, then you're saying the British financed Washington during the American Revolution? Well, no. The American people revolted against the British and the British East Indies Company. The British East Indies Company was able to fall under the radar because they operate out of a sovereign nation called the City of London that controls the monarchy. The City of London controls the monarchy.
But the City of London is connected to the Vatican, and the Vatican is the richest part of the world because every treasury goes back to the collecting for the Catholics and the Pope.
Vicky, very interesting.
Yep.
Very, very interesting. Ron, have you heard this before, what Vicky just said?
I've heard things about it, but I would not
So-
want to speak on it because
the
it's
Pope
not.
was since centuries the most powerful person in the world because
And still is.
It still is, but in the Middle Ages, kings got were deleted as kings who lost their powers when the Pope didn't like them, or the kings didn't pay enough money or didn't go to the Crusades. That's why we had sometimes a time where we had free popes, because every king wanted to have
The
their
white,
own.
gray, and the black?
No, they
Oh.
were just putting there, like there was a Spanish pope who was supporting more the ideas of the Spanish, and then we had Henry VIII. He created his own church because he wanted to get married.
Right.
Got married to Anne Boleyn and didn't want to.
Well, that's what the Mayflower set sail from, right? From the Church of England, right? They
Yeah.
wanted independence. They wanted religious freedom.
Yeah, he calls it religious freedom, and the thing is, like, we had the Bartholomew's Night where the Catholics killed on Friday the 13th. That's why we have Friday the 13th.
Really?
They killed all the Protestants and the Templars because they were actually fighting for religious freedom.
And
Go ahead.
when you think about religious freedom, you'll hear all the time here in America about the separation of church and state. And I would tell you that is a fallacy. You know, they base it on a Supreme Court case. I believe it was Everson versus the Board of Education, a split decision like 5-4 written by Hugo Black. And they used a private letter written by Thomas Jefferson to the Danbury Baptist Connecticut Association that said that, you know, the state of Connecticut could not bring laws against them, sort of under like the First Amendment. But the First Amendment does not say it is freedom from religion. It says it is freedom of religion. And he was only answering a letter that they sent to him. Then if you think back and you look at religion and God in America, there's judicial precedence for prayer and the Bible. Every state legislature, federal legislature starts with prayer. Every Supreme Court in the land, federal and state, starts with prayer. There is the Ten Commandments on display at the federal Supreme Court. Then there was a case, Holy Trinity Church v. U.S., 1892. And it was a unanimous Supreme Court decision written by Justice Brewer or Bauer. And it stated that the Judeo-Christian religion and principles are the foundation of all of our laws in our nation and cannot be separated. And it goes on, you know, it looks at it like the state constitutions. 44 states have it in their constitution. In the case of the state of Mississippi, Article 3, Section 18 of the Bill of Rights states that the Holy Bible is part of the school system and shall not be removed. That's basically the last line of that section. And you know, it's kind of interesting because I would tell you that's where I believe America went wrong. We took the fathers out of the homes and we took God out of the town square. And we need to get back to those traditional values to save our nation.
So let me, Vicky, you made a comment that was interesting. And the United States for well over 100 years did not have an official, did not recognize the Vatican officially and did not have relations with the Vatican. And it wasn't until Ronald Reagan and John Paul II that the United States had officially re-recognized the Vatican and began relations with the Vatican. But do you think, as a German and from the history of Germany, and by the way, Germany was the last stronghold of what was considered the Holy Roman Empire.
Yep. Karl the Great.
Do you believe, and you brought up the separation of church and state? Do you believe that the United States is with a let's just look at things very basically here, right? So the common American, anyone in the world, the common person can say, hey, wait, there's a $34 trillion. The government that's controlling or running the society of the United States or that civilization is in a $34 trillion federal deficit. And it doesn't get paid off. Trump doesn't pay it off. Obama doesn't pay it off. The Bushes don't pay it off. It just continues to spiral out of control. Is that an issue? I mean, are you able to make any links back to what you're saying Rome is still incredibly powerful?
Yeah, so you just have to think about, in Germany, you have to pay taxes to be allowed to marry in a church. So you have to declare yourself, you have to get baptized, and when you get baptized, that's literally signing a tax document to the church that every paycheck it gets not a lot of money, but still you have to pay for your faith.
Interesting.
Yeah, you have to pay to be allowed to be, not to be allowed to be Catholic, but to practice and get like a wedding. You're not allowed to go to a church to get married in a church if you're not paying or be a member of the church. When you are a member of the church, you pay every month taxes.
Interesting. Ron, do you have any comments?
And that goes to the
my
Vatican.
recollection is
That's
in
weird.
Germany, is it not true that you have two weddings, a civil wedding, like
Yes.
at the courthouse, and then a church wedding?
Yes. So the civil
You
wedding.
knew this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd actually been to, when I was stationed in Germany, a couple of my friends, and I was a platoon sergeant and things, or a squad leader when I first started out. And so when one of these young fellows would get married to a German girl, I've been to both services.
Do you think Americans, let's say folks in Mississippians, do you think Americans need to be concentrating a little bit more on this threat that has plagued Europe for centuries? And do you think it's an issue that Americans need to be considering? Let's say the separation of church and state. Do you believe that still should be a concern in America?
I believe that that is what is being pushed on us. I don't believe that we need to be not teaching our children about God and country. I believe the problem is, just like in Germany, they teach the children that they need to be fearful of the government and that the government was evil. Well, there's good and bad in all governments, but I think here in America we need to be teaching our children about the greatness of America, and we need to be looking forward, not trying to tear down our founding fathers, our statues. If you don't learn these things, then you're doomed to repeat them, and it's just going to be under a different regime. We need to be, like I said before, united for that common good. We need to know where we came from so we know where we're going. And if we don't do that, we're doomed to repeat these things.
So what I think is very important to make a difference in it. So I think Christianity, religion is a very important part for our culture and for our identity. So you say even one country, one nation under God. So it's literally in your slogan for your country that God is important to you. So in Europe, we went very fast, very liberal. Like, okay, when we are we celebrate Christianity or our religion different than you do, but it's very important not to lose it. So we had Lenin, who created the idea religion is the opium for the people. So it makes them addicted.
Who said that?
Lenin.
Lenin?
Lenin.
Lenin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The opium for the people.
Yeah. So he framed religion as a drug, and every person thinks from drugs, first of all, something negative. So that's a very interesting thing on this whole dynamic. So the government tried to frame religion as a bad thing. Then we have this overpowering system of the Catholic Church, but we also have this big industry in the Mormon Church. So all those industry or identities, like the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is not Christianity. It's not the religion. It's just a label of the way how they practice the faith. And the government or the agenda, it doesn't. I don't care if it's a nation or government. It's the agenda of the people who want to get God out of our lives.
Because Lenin told you that the government needs to be the religion, not God.
Yeah, because
Which is okay.
What they do right now with getting Jesus or the Bible out of your school education, and this is created this monster idea of religion, what overwhelms you. You have to pay taxes. So a lot of people make it very uninteresting for people to join the Christian faith. But it's not about joining the Christian community like, oh, I have to be now Catholic. In my opinion, it's more important for yourself to believe there is God, and you don't need a church, a house to pray. You can do that everywhere. You can go into the woods and thank God for the creation. I don't say that the Christian communities are bad. I'm just saying if we follow the idea of this Catholic system, we always frame Christianity in something bad. Because the Catholic Church and all those big communities or systems did something bad.
It's a man-made...
Yeah, it's a man-made thing. Like, God still wanted to have come together and believe in, thank God that He sent us His Son. But He didn't say, create on the Peter's Hill in Rome, the Vatican, and abuse children or go to war in the name of God. That was not God saying, God will it. It was a very money-hungry, power-hungry person in the Vatican sitting there because he's bored and he needed more money. That's all it is. So we have to make a difference between the person who uses the faith and the religion for its own good, and then the religion itself. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think certainly Europe historically was all conformed to the structure of Rome, known as the Roman Empire, and over 2,000 years, not exactly, but the landmass known as Europe broke into the countries that we still have. However, the point I think that can be drawn from this with the European Union is that
they want to get it back.
That entity has infiltrated these governments, to use that word, economically. So they've almost outsmarted, right? It's almost, the Roman system has almost outsmarted these kind of independent movements of the people over the centuries.
Yeah, and you also see that even the Vatican goes rogue now. Even the Pope says same-sex marriages are okay. You would never think that a Catholic leader would say that. Like,
right.
I'm not against.
And this is the first Jesuit Pope, right? He's the first Jesuit Pope.
Yeah, like I'm not against that, but when you come from a Catholic background, it's literally saying in the Bible that's
like
a
in
sin.
Deuteronomy.
So you're not allowed. When you are the Catholic leader, and you literally give a crap what your handbook says. That's the Catholic Church. That's the leader of the Catholic Church.
So why would that be happening?
Because you have to think the Catholic Church
Is it deceptive?
They lose a lot of members. They lose because they see what's going on. You just have to look into the. We had a case in Cologne of a bishop. He raped boys over 30 years.
What?
And the Catholic Church, do you know what they did? Oh, they claimed, and they said, okay, we pay 1.5 million euros to the victims. Do you know how much money they get? Maybe 10%. The rest of this 1.2 million euros went to the bishop to pay his debts in gambling. So that's the Catholic.
Whoa! What's the name of that bishop? Do you recall? And what was the year?
Oh, that's literally 2017, 18. That's not
a few years ago.
That's actual happening. And now we have the Protestant church that came out. They raping children in foster care. So it's coming out all. So the church uses its power to misuse it and hurt people, but it's not the faith. It's not the believing system. It's not believing in God. It's the human using God for doing bad things. And this is what people have to understand. And this is how the division of government and religion can work, because they use that. And the church can do what they want, because there will always be people who join the church. That is okay, because when you want to join the church, do it. But it's the political arm of the church, and that's the same thing with governmental agencies. Not every law enforcement agent or policeman is a bad person. Not every soldier is a bad person. But you have the political arm who misuses its power to fulfill their wishes. Then you have situations like J6.
I think this is a great discussion, and I appreciate your time. This looks like a fascinating book, Ron. No one knows who fired the first shot at Lexington Green on April 19th, 1775, to begin the American War for Independence. His portrait is on the opening page of this work, and it only gets better from there. Who is that person?
It was one of the British soldiers. I'll have to find it for you. But anyhow, that there's a painting in the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol of that event.
Oh,
and everybody says that, well, nobody knows about this, and here we go. There it is.
Major John Pitcairn.
Yeah.
By whose order the opening volley of the American Revolution was fired.
Yep, I couldn't remember his
Interesting.
name. But
remarkable. Major John Pitcairn. And you're saying he was the British fired first?
Yes. And as the song goes, and the British kept it coming.
And the British kept it coming, and
and
they're still here in many regards.
So even the Guardian did a piece on it. It was the Archbishop of Cologne.
The Archbishop of Cologne, Vicky. What's the name?
I remember Cologne is
What's
where
the name,
Foster
Vicky?
lives.
What's the name?
That's Mardi Gras in German.
What is it?
Fasching.
Fasching, yes.
What? Rosh what?
Fasching.
Fasching.
Washing?
Fasching.
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 Fasching. That means Fat Tuesday?
No, it's
What?
so it's
J6 people. I was at the rally last night.
Oh, okay. They have a prayer circle or something?
They do every night. 572 days
Wow.
tonight.
Wow.
And there were a lot of people on
Gulag. What does that mean, Vicky? Gulag.
Gulag, that's Russian.
Oh, that's Russian? Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know. I thought it was German.
What?
I
No.
thought it was German.
That doesn't even
The
sound
Gulag.
German. Gulag. So do you know what the first gulags were? That were the
St. Petersburg?
No, that's the POW camps for the German soldiers who went to Siberia, who got caught by the Red Army. My great-great-grandfather didn't go to POW because he was killed in Stalingrad. But
Let's see.
Can I get one of your?
What's the name of that bishop, Vicky?
Archbishop,
Yeah.
let me get it.
And Ron, again, it's vote.
VoteRonEller.com.
RonEller.com. And Vicky, do you have a website?
Yes, it's I have a star Substack, Vicky Ricther.
So, you have a Substack, Vicky
Yeah.
Ricther, and that's Richter.
Yes, and it's Rainer Mario Volki.
Reiner
Maria Volki.
Maria
Maria
Goki.
Yeah, it's a very
That's the
common
cardinal.
second name. Yeah, second Catholic name for men, Maria.